Hey y'all, and welcome back for another adventure in the cookie jar. Today we are doing the 4th recipe from 12 Desserts of Christmas, which you can find in the book Christmas Sweets. So it is the last one. Like I said, we're only doing 2 out of this book. So for it was called the Double Apple Crisp. These 2 pages right here. We are preheating the oven to 375 for starters. Now you're going to do this in 2 parts, the bottom layer and then the top layer. So what you're going to want is 8 large apples, cored, peeled, and sliced. It's got a note, I used 4 Granny Smith and 4 Fuji, but any combination will do. Half the apple should be tart and the other half sweeter, which I think is where it gets its name, double apple, because there's no 2 layers of crisp, there's no, and that's the only thing I could deduce from that. But 3/4 cup white sugar, 1 tablespoon lemon juice, and 1/2 cup of honey. For the topping, you're going to use 1 cup of flour, 1/2 cup brown sugar firmly packed, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 1/2 cup of softened butter. And you're going to want a 9x13 cake pan. You're going to put the apples in, sugar, lemon juice, honey on top. Then you're going to mix the flour, sugar, and salt together in a small bowl. Work in the butter, sprinkle it over the top, bake it off for 30 to 40 minutes. And then you're done. There is 1 note on this that says, if you take this out of the oven 20 minutes or so before the meal begins, it'll be a perfect temperature to serve for dessert. If you're not that organized, and who is, dish up the apple crisp and heat it in individual bowls in the microwave. It holds up very well when reheated. It's also good at room temperature or even cold right out of the refrigerator. There's no wrong way to serve this double apple crisp. So, that everything's laid out in the kitchen. Let's get in there and get started. This is everything we'll be using today. So we take our sprayed 9x13 pan, and it says to spread the apple slices over the bottom. And then we want the white sugar. Then the lemon juice, the honey. Next, we're going to set this aside. And then a small bowl, we're going to mix the flour, the brown sugar, and the salt. Alright, to this it says to mix in the butter. It says you can also do this in a processor with a steel blade, but every time I try to do that, I don't really get what I feel like I'm supposed to. So I thought I would actually try it by hand this time. And it is taking longer, but it's giving me, I feel like, better results. It's not a sandy mixture going, where did the butter go? Sprinkle topping evenly over the apples. So now this will go in the oven at 375 for 30 to 40 minutes. And this is kind of a shot of what it looks like when it goes in the oven. I would just like to start off by saying that this is a major problem. There is so much liquid in this. Like I said, there is way too much liquidy juice. It's so much. Like, you can't even tilt the plate without it pouring everywhere. I think this is gonna be bland. There's no vanilla extract. It's literally just honey, sugar, and lemon juice on the apples, which the lemon juice is only there so they don't brown too much. And then the crust is flour and brown sugar. There's no real flavor in any of that. There's sweetness. There's lots of sweetness. Now that can go, the apples are going to be so flavorful. They'll be so great. I don't think that's what's gonna happen. I just think this is gonna be really, really bland. But let's find out. The apples are super sweet. They don't have a terrible flavor, but that honey sticks out a lot when there's nothing else. And the crust is salty and bland. It mentioned adding some like cinnamon ice cream or something, and I made this last night. It's like a pumpkin cold brew topping. So basically pumpkin whipped cream. Much, much better. You really need that. That brings it all together. The amount of liquid is highly concerning. Like, I don't know if you can just like drain that off and leave it as like apple juice or like maybe an apple concentrate, something like that. Maybe apple, no, can't really be apple cider, there's no spices in it. But essentially, I guess it's apple juice. Maybe you can just drain that off and drink it, I don't know. But it's kind of a deterrent. This is really something, if you don't want all that juice, you need to serve it with a slotted spoon. By itself, it's not attractive looking, and it's kind of underwhelming. But if you add, like I said, I made this last night because I saw it on TikTok. It was like a cup of whipped or heavy cream, 3 tablespoons of pumpkin, a teaspoon of vanilla, a teaspoon of pumpkin spice, and it just kind of, they used a coffee frother, which I tried. It did not work out, but I put it in the blender. 2 seconds later, I had this. And I put that on top. It was, it just took it from to. So keep that in mind if you choose to make this. That is the last one that we are making out of the 12 Desserts of Christmas, because as I said, all the other recipes are taken from the first 8 books. With that being said, we will be starting key lime pie murder next week. And the first recipe in that is the Swedish oatmeal cookies. So if you're interested in seeing those, join us next week. I hope you all have a good week. Bye, guys.